Attack on Titan. I'm sure many of you have loved the show so much that you've either watched it or, read it a couple times. But I think this is an entirely different situation when you go to watch Attack on Titan for the second time. The absurd amount of character parallels and foreshadowing is so out in the open the second time around. It makes you think, how on earth did I miss this the first time? And if you're rewatching with someone who is watching for the first time, you'll think, wow, like that is so obvious. Like what? The plot has things out in the wide open. You can't notice it. You start to realize that characters' motivations are extremely complex, more complex than you can even begin to imagine. I believe AOT elevates the second time around because of its outward story building technique mostly. Each episode seems to slowly zoom out, that camera towards the entire picture of the story. The craziest thing is Isayama fools the audience so well into thinking the story's at its best, even when the camera zoomed all the way in. And heck, my entire first watch, I thought there was no way he could top this or do that. And then they go and do it. And it happens again and again. And I'm like, oh my gosh. The amount of questions on questions that are had throughout the first watch are crazy. So having these answers while watching for the second time paints an entirely different narrative. And you can analyze things in a completely different way while consuming it, knowing what you know from your first viewing. As you guys know, character development runs rampant in this show. Eren starts off as, the little crybaby little protagonist, and by the final season, man, he's known throughout the entire world as probably the most terrifying villain. Reiner is shown as a good dude to worst dude ever to, oh my gosh, I love Reiner. And how is Isayama able to craft this up? He layered bricks of foundation one at a time, and he got us to root for the main characters. You gotta be able to root for the main characters no matter the cause. You need an audience to be engaged with them, either for the good or for the bad. And even though AOT is an anime and, generally targeted for the younger audience, man, this show does not hold back on violence, even from episode 1, and those dark themes are shining throughout the entire show. The themes of Attack on Titan can also be more appreciated when viewing it again. Themes of, morality and ethics, truth and perception, and especially freedom and oppression are huge in the story. And seeing, the foundation of these themes being built on from generally episode 1 to the end of the story is done so well. Attack on Titan really brings out the cruelty and humanity, and it also brings out the good. Moving forward, I think I can speak for most of us when I say AOT's attention to even the tiniest little details is absolutely wild. Little things like, the steam that comes above Eren's head during the training corps back when, no one knew Eren was a Titan, not even him. Or, Bertolt going to bite his hand during, the invasion at the castle. Or even Child Zeke playing with a toy that looks just like his Beast Titan form. There are literally hundreds upon hundreds of these little details that are scattered throughout like this, that are pointed out and they're really obvious to a second time viewer. But as a first time viewer, you can't notice it. Like, you don't know to look for it. And when watching for a second time, it is such a blast, man, to try and recognize these things that come up in the plot that only really multiple time viewers can recognize. And every time I go back and I watch this show, I notice more and more things each time, and I just recognize the absolute genius of AOT, man. You cannot talk about an Attack on Titan rewatch without bringing up the plot twist. Oh my gosh. You guys know, AOT does plot twists like I've never seen them ever be done in any other show. And watching from the very beginning, knowing it's Eren who is actually causing all of this, brings an entire different level to the show. Knowing Bertolt, Reiner are the antagonist that Paradise Island is looking for, and that Marley is kind of built up to be similar to Nazi Germany, is incredible symbolism, man. And it makes for a really compelling narrative. I still can't believe that Reiner just casually told Eren on top of that wall, bro. Like, what? I thought it was like a sub error or something. You want to root for the good guys and hate the bad guys, but you realize no one in this story is truly evil. They all had motivations for doing what they did. And I believe this is one of Isayama's biggest successes within the story. Anime has this really bad habit of doing villains, and the villains just come up and they're just evil. Like, oh my god, oh, that guy's evil, she's evil. No, AOT cuts zero corners when it comes to creating a villain. They make sure we know they had a reason, and a good one at that. I believe that you know what is coming next, and it's still a surprise most of the time, is the beauty of watching it for the second time. Watching Attack on Titan with some of my friends and seeing their reaction to it was such a great experience, man. And I definitely recommend trying to rewatch it with someone who is watching it for the first time, because it is so awesome, dude. If you guys are like me and you like to be critical about a show and give an honest review, it's really nice to go through to see if there are any contradictories or plot holes, but honestly, compared to some of these other animes, that I won't mention. There are very little minute contradictions in AOT that don't really affect the plot too much, but it's nice to be able to go back and see and appreciate the greatness that is AOT. I'll always find time to watch Levi swinging around, being humanity's greatest soldier, or hearing inspiring words from Erwin, or seeing the absolute glow up of a main character in Eren Yeager, man. If you've watched this far, then I know you guys are certainly fans of the story, and I definitely encourage you to go watch and explore the story even deeper, because there are always things to discover inside this wonderful world that Isayama has built for us. Let me know who you guys' favorite character is, because if I had to choose, I'd probably say Eren or Reiner, and I hope I've convinced some of you guys to go rewatch this absolute masterpiece of a story. I'll see you guys.